This week's episode is brought to you in part by MPix, delivering the highest quality prints and products from your photos. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow.
In this week's show, I've got a tip for you on how to make your composites look a lot more realistic.
And this week I'm going to show you how to take advantage of smart objects to create really interesting designs.
And I'm going to give you a quick tip on how to toggle your displays for the best performance.
And I have a quick text tip, and it all starts right now.
Welcome to PhotoshopUser TV, brought to you by the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. And now, here are your hosts, the Photoshop guys.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to a penultimate episode of PhotoshopUser TV, brought to you by the National Association of Photoshop Professionals, the wonderful people that bring you PhotoshopUser magazine. The magazine that Dave Cross reads backwards.
I do.
So we're sitting here not 30 seconds ago and I'm watching Dave and he's going backwards through the magazine. I'm like, Dave, you're reading it backwards.
He's Canadian.
And there's a reason for that.
I know, so what is the reason?
The reason is because when you were first browsing, because you can't actually read it, you're just saying, oh, that looks interesting, I'll come back to that. Oh, that looks interesting. So that way you're just kind of getting a feel for the magazine before actually being distracted and starting to read an article. No, I just totally made that up.
I have another theory.
What did you, well, hold on, what did you think when you got to the compositing
I was like,
tutorial?
I can't wait to read that. Stop the show, I got to read that right now.
Start at the back of it and see if anything jumps out at you that Dave might be interested in. I.e.
The compositing tutorial?
No.
No, there's something else in here.
Oh, is your article in the back there, Pete?
No, Dave Cross.
Oh, Dave Cross Workshops. Look at that.
Big ad. Look at that.
Dave Cross Workshops. So tell us more.
Teaching on the beach.
So you have a you actually have a workshop center here in Tampa, Florida.
Just literally down the road, and we have small group classes on photography, Photoshop, lighting, Lightroom, all that kind of stuff. And I teach the Photoshop classes. I have people like yourself and Rick Salmon and Scott Kelby and various other people coming in to teach small group classes.
Find out more over at davecrossworkshops.com.
You betcha.
Sweet.
Perfect.
Dave, speaking of Dave Cross, I think it's time for a quick tip.
All right, then. Well, strangely enough, I have one of those, and it is quick. I'm not sure Pete and I were discussing earlier, trying to decide the difference between a quick tip and a quick tutorial, because it sounds kind of similar. So this is
I'm not sure any of
this
us
is a quick tip, I guess. So I've got a type layer here.
I had the quick tip. You're supposed to be a quick tutorial.
Oh, whichever. Okay, here's a quickie, so to speak. So I have a type layer here, and I want to alter it in a way but keep the quality. So rather than rasterize it, which would make it into pixels, instead I go to the layer menu and choose type, create work path.
Oh, wait a second.
And when I do that, now I have a work path. And among other things, the interesting option it gives me now is I can do things like select different points and edit it. Yeah. But the other kind of fun part about this is if you do free transform, you can transform the path, and that includes warping. So if you want to do some things like trying to change the letter a little bit in a way that's easier, but it's still a path, so therefore it's still going to be really nice quality. And as an added bonus, if you take the whole thing, you can then, once you're happy with it, go and turn it into a custom shape. So then it's built right into Photoshop and you can access it at any time you want in a very scalable, high quality fashion.
Dave, you just did something that didn't have anything to do with a smart object.
I know.
What's going on? It's 2012. Like, what's changed?
Nothing. It was just, it's quick.
No, that's neat. Nice. Especially, you know what? I hadn't thought. I knew the work path thing, but the whole free transform work part.
And especially the warp part is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So fun. There you go.
I knew that.
I knew that.
I didn't.
Corey.
What?
Knower of warping work.
Corey, who casually is holding his book.
That's nothing.
What are you reading over there, Corey?
Oh, nothing. It's just the new book by, never mind.
Hey, real quick, for those of you that don't know, if you haven't watched the show before, which if you're watching today, my guess is your first time watcher, because I don't think anybody will actually come back and
They've
watch.
already left.
But no, for those of you that maybe have dropped out toward the end of the year, Corey's got a brand new book out, Photoshop Down and Dirty Tricks for Designers. Much needed in the industry out there, because there's really not a lot of books that are Photoshop books that are geared specifically toward designers. If you're a photographer, the one thing I can tell you is just about every tutorial in the book starts with a photo. So if you're a photographer and you want to do cool things and cool layouts with your photos, you should check it out too. But you can find it Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kelby Training, any place. But that said, Corey.
I really wanted it to be for everyone. I wanted it to bring the world together. So
I think you did. I think you accomplished that.
At least 30 of them. All right. Am I up?
You're up.
I'm up. All right. So I have a quick
just sit there and look good.
But all right, since Dave did not take advantage of smart objects today, I will. So interesting way of using smart objects to create an editable design using text. Now, the problem with going into a really complex design with text is that eventually you're going to have to rasterize it or do something, you know, if you really want to get crazy with it. But in this case, you don't necessarily have to do that. Now, I've gone ahead and set up a text layer here, and you can see I've just turned this on and off, and it's just an editable text layer. I've gone ahead and formatted it by closing in the tracking on it, and it's kind of got a cool graphic feel to it. Now, what I want to do is go ahead and create a smart object. Now, I'm going to go ahead and select both layers in this file, and just hold down the Control key, and then go over here and convert to smart object. Now, I'm going to go inside of that smart object by simply double-clicking on the smart object icon. Opens up a separate file. I'm going to turn off the background so I can see the background transparency. Now, what I want to do is add kind of some paint splashes to this, kind of make it look like more like a grungy graphic you'd see that will be associated with like a skateboarder or something like that. So I have here a little ink splash I got on iStock Photo. It's really cool. On a white background so I can easily extract it. Now, I'm just going to do that by going into the channels and then command clicking on the RGB icon. This would be Control on Windows, and just click right on that. Loads the shape as a selection. I'm going to go back into the layers, create a new layer, and fill that selection with black. There we go. So now it maintains some of the transparency on that graphic. So what I'm going to do is actually create 2 duplicate layers to darken it up. Then merge them. And let's take this graphic and drag it on over. Now you can see it's black on black, so it's just kind of blending in with the text, which is exactly what I want. In fact, I'm going to put it in a couple of different places here, all inside of this smart object. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and close this smart object and save the changes. Now you can see it updates in my original file. Make a background here so you can see. And I've got really kind of cool grungy graphics. Now the cool thing is I can go back inside that smart object and highlight the text and change it to wherever I want it to be if I needed to change it or if I made a mistake or something like that. But that's a certain way I can take advantage of the smart objects and able to build a graphic here. Let me just add a final element here really fast. I have here, it's kind of a grungy texture I'm just going to add to give it a little bit of character, because it's just boring when it's black and white.
I agree.
So I'm going to use a clipping group real fast and just hold down my Option key and click in between the layers, and it puts it in between there. I can just give it a color effect. Something dark, there we go. And that gives me a cool starter graphic. I can build on this by adding other elements and photos on top of it using blend modes, but you get an idea of how you can really go deep with a complex design and maintain the editability of the text by using those smart objects. So.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Is that kind of like in your book?
Yes, I have numerous instances where I take advantage of smart objects in the book. So.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, guys, we are going to take a very, very quick break. When we come back, we got more tutorials. We got Pete's My Lame tutorial. We got prizes, giveaways. Do we have a contest, Dave?
I'm sure we will.
We can have a contest, too. Yep. We'll see you back here in just a minute.
Hi everybody, I'm David Zeiser. Hey, we have one great Kelby training video coming your way, and this time it's going to be on couples. What I'm trying to bring to this video is find the great locations to get some great photographs of your couples, how you can put great lighting on your couples, and then also how you can get great expressions. I can guarantee that you're going to love it. Join me on this Kelby training video, Shooting Couples.
Hey, we are back. Now, if you are a NAP member and you get PhotoshopUser magazine, you will see this lovely cover image, which is one of Matt's images from his great book on compositing. It's a feature article in here. If you have not seen Matt's book, definitely take a look at it, because it does a marvelous job of describing the best way to combine images together and make it look super duper realistic.
Well, thank you,
I think
sir.
Matt might, just might, you're going to do something, because I see the same guy sitting over there on your computer screen.
It is. It's kind of funny, because I didn't realize that this was the magazine that was out today. And I just wanted to show a very quick tip. It's kind of taken from the feature there. I'll build on it a little bit. But I guess the idea is this is something that I do on just about every composite to kind of add atmosphere. because I think that's one of the things that's always missing from when you see a person taken from one image, put them onto another image, you lose that atmosphere because you cut them out of that background. So this is the final image, and let me just kind of turn off a couple of layers here, and you can see what it looks like before I add what I'm about to show you here. So that's before the atmosphere, and that's after. So you can kind of see the difference there. It kind of just looks, you know, I don't know, it's missing something. And then you kind of put some light in here. So really, it's actually incredibly easy to do in Photoshop. First thing you do is just add a blank layer. Press B to get your brush tool, set your foreground color here to white, and then I'll press the right bracket key, get a really, really, really large brush, all right? And then I set the opacity of the brush all the way down to about 20% or so, okay? I don't have my tablet here, but I usually do this with a tablet because it lets me control the brush sizes. If I just tap with the pen on the tablet, I'll get a lot smaller of a brush stroke with it. And if I really press down with it, I get a lot bigger of a brush stroke. So when you see like a light source back here, okay, then I would really click and I'd add a lot more light back there. But back here, I might just add just a little bit and just a little bit back there. And you'll see what it does. It's one of those things it creates, because we know there's light source back there. We know that light is gonna spill over onto whatever person that we're putting into the image. And so it just creates that wash of light, you know, that light that kind of goes around the person. And then from there, go over here and we'll add a layer mask to it. Take your brush tool, switch your brush tool over to black, and then if it happened to kind of, you don't want too much of the actual portrait to get washed out, especially on his face. So I'll just go over here and I'll paint with a very low opacity black brush. But that's before, and that's after. It's, of course, it's on its own layer, so all you gotta do is reduce the opacity if it's too much. You know, I might even come over here and add a little bit more light just back there to those windows, just so it looks like that light's flaring out. So that's one tip, okay? One tip is to go in there and add that atmosphere, add that light.
Can I just add one, because you did something there I thought was interesting, that if you don't happen to have a tablet, now I think we all recommend tablets are great at here, but because you were going such low opacity, each time you clicked, it was kind of building it up slowly. So by starting with a low opacity, you're able to kind of simulate that gradual build up.
And that's why I took the brush opacity all the way down to 20%, is because I can keep clicking and build. And it works good in the opposite when we're masking it away too, because you can very gradually fade it away from the person. So that's one quick tip for you. Another quick tip is to duplicate the portrait layer. All right, and I'm going to turn off the bottom one for now. When light, if you and go look at pictures that you have of people, maybe where you're using flare behind them, the sun's coming behind them, and wherever that light comes from behind them, it tends to really wash out and almost blur the edge. So one of the things you don't want here is you don't want, I'm pointing to my computer, you don't want this edge to be perfectly sharp. And I've already kind of blurred this one here, but I want to show you at least how I did it, which is you grab the blur tool, okay? And all you do is just paint around the edge. And it tends to blur it out a little bit. And again, I'll turn on the one below it, but that's before. Here, let's zoom in. That's before, after. See the difference there? And again, if you can just go study photos, and you'll see a ton of examples where you don't see that edge really defined. So that's one of the little telling examples for composite.
Often, a lot of times when people cut out and make selections, they forget that it's a hard edge. And when you look at the depth of field of the actual picture, you probably need to go in, even though you've made a very precise selection, you need to go in and run a blur around it so that it sits into the image. And so it's not just because of the light, but just the way it fits into that whole scene, giving a little blur.
Are you saying a selection can be too good?
It can be too good. It can be too good. Wow. And then, you know, the last little trick that I do, and I use this all the time, I just turn the layer on here, but the last thing I do is I go to the top layer, Command-Option-Shift, and the letter E. Come on. And it creates like a flattened version of everything. And I use Nik software. I love Color Effects Pro 4. It's by far, it's a huge upgrade from version 3, but there's still one thing I like in 3, and that is tonal contrast. There's just something different about tonal contrast in 3 versus 4. So I always come in here and I'll go down to tonal contrast. And I take the default settings, except I just drag the saturation slider down here to 0. And it just gives it just gives an edge, kind of an overall punchiness to the photo that I like. So, and I use 4 for plenty of things, but that tonal contrast from 3 is my favorite.
Cool.
That is it.
Very nice. Nicely done, as they say in certain countries. Pete, you have a quick other thing,
quick tip,
tutorial, technique, something quick.
Yep. Well, I like to, oftentimes, I don't know if you're like me, but if you're creative, you tend to start throwing things on your background, and your background gets real busy, and you start playing with things, and you get distracted. So you've got, if you hit your F button on your keyboard, you've got several different screen modes you can go through between the basic mode, which will show your tabs up top here, and then you will have your gray background, and then you will have your dark background that is more kind of a display of your artwork. Well, I used to just play in this area here because I wanted to be able to go back and forth between my tabs, and I thought that was the best one, but I've started using the second one for a couple of reasons. First of all, it gets rid of all the clutter in the background, and second of all, I can move this thing around. Sometimes I need to do something or start something way out here. I'm not constrained by this one. If I try to move it around, it's going to let me go so far, and then it's going to kind of hit something. Whereas if I go over to this one, I've got a lot more freedom to bring this over here if I want to really work in this area over here. That's great. But the one reason why I didn't go over there was because I wanted to be able to access other images that I had up that the tab bar had. Well, Dave Cross over here, I asked him, whenever I need to know a keyboard shortcut, I say, hey, Dave, how do you do this? And of course he goes, oh, that's easy, Command-Control tilde, which is that little squiggle up there by the 1 on the keyboard, and that'll let you scroll through the different images that you have open, the different tabs you have open. And so it's a great little way to be able to use this, keep it clean, but jump between the other two. Second real quick thing is you can change the background color of your, I forget that I'm not using my Cintiq. I got to go here.
I'm like, why is he putting his pen on that Dell screen?
If you right-click over in the gray area, you can choose gray, black, or you can do a custom, and you can simply select a custom color. And I think it was William Bean, or maybe it was Dave Clayton, one of our NAP friends on his Google Plus, was talking about how you change the color. And I really want to bring this to a 50% gray because then it won't affect the coloring, influence the color of whatever I'm working on. So if you just simply go in here and you choose K for your black at 50% and hit OK, that's going to make sure that your background is a 50% gray so that it gives you the best color rendition while you're working on it.
Cool. Hey, can you press F really quick to get to the floating window? Not one more? There you go. So just like a quick aside note, I guess, if you're a Windows user, you'll never get to that mode. Okay, so that's kind of a Mac only thing. The Windows doesn't have, because you can see your desktop behind it. So when you're on Windows, you're always in an application frame. So it's that whole floating area, because I get that question a lot. People want to know how to get to that. And if you're on Windows, you can. On a Mac, you can. Now, that said, I go to Window Application Frame, and I put everything into an application frame because I just happen to like that. But just in case you're curious out there, if you saw that and you can't get to it, that could be why.
And the other thing that Pete just gave us was a wonderful tip for April Fool's Day. If you go onto someone else's machine and change their background to like fluorescent violet purple or something, and they'll be like, where did this come from?
Yeah, they'll be going to IT and actually having their whole system rebuilt before.
So don't actually do that, because that would be mean.
It would be a good laugh, though. It would. Hey, we're going to take a very quick break, and when we got back, we got more Photoshop TV. See you back here in a minute.
My name is Douglas Saunders. I'm a commercial advertising photographer. I may be Washington, D.C. based, but I take my assignments all over the world. We have a product, it's an iPad case, and I'll be showing you how to put together an entire ad shoot from pre-production to actual photo shoot to my post-production retouching process. You're going to learn about coming up with a creative concept, dealing with your clients, lighting on location, actually handling a photo shoot day with the multiple members of your crew and client on set, the retouching process. What do retouchers look for when you're delivering all the content they need to composite an image together in the end? You're going to see everything. Everything's going to be thrown up in the air, and we're going to put it all together piece by piece. If you're at all familiar with the type of work I do, come over to kelbytraining.com, check out my video, and see how I put an entire shoot together.
Welcome back, everybody. Matt Kloskowski here with Dave Cross.
Hello.
Pete Collins over there.
Howdy.
Corey Barker. You're supposed to say something, Corey.
I like how we're introducing people at the very end of the show. That's kind of
Sorry about that.
cool,
Well,
cool
it's
switch
back.
on things.
Back.
Well, we're the penultimate.
We're back. We're returning. It's penultimate.
You were never mind.
Hey, we got some prizes here. So we're going to give away 2 books from 2 very special friends of ours. The first one is from Tom Bull. Tom wrote a great book on adventure sports photography. And curiously enough, it's called Adventure Sports Photography. See that right there?
Odd choice.
Creating
Suspicious.
dramatic images in wild places. So, and Tom has been in some very, very wild places. I can attest to that. So great. Tom's a great teacher. Tom is actually, he's one of my favorite instructors to watch teach. So check that out. And then we have another one here. Photoshop elements from snapshots to great shots. And that's from Jeff Revell. Jeff's a Kelby training instructor as well. So if you use Photoshop elements or you have relatives that use it, you want to pick up Jeff's book, because you know what I like about it? The Snapshots to Great Shots series is it's meant to take that normal photo and just show you a couple little tweaks, a little recipe to get it to that next level.
Right. Not everything you need to know about elements, but just key techniques to get you going.
Yeah, and it's only one of my other favorite things. It's only 175 pages, which is about 1/3 of the size of the Elements book that I wrote. So I wish the Elements book I wrote was only 175
You envy
pages.
him because
I do. Anyway, Dave.
All right, so if you have not seen the show before, here's how you can win these prizes. Go to kelbytv.com and you'll find the Photoshop User TV page, and there's a place you can leave comments. Now you can just say, hey, and that's it, or you can say, you know, I'd love to see a tutorial on something, because we're always looking for suggestions. So put whatever you want in there. I see a red light over there as I'm looking over here. So if you go there and leave some kind of comment, we will completely randomly draw a name, and that person will win these prizes. Oh, what happened?
Unless it's a negative comment.
There's more stuff.
Yeah, and we'll throw in a Nap hat and a Nap Nation t-shirt.
Nice. So there
All
you go.
for you.
Photoshop User TV at Kelby TV, and you can win these things.
Because we're sponsored by Nap, and we hope that you'll check us out over at PhotoshopUser.com and maybe one day become a Nap member if you're not already.
Exactly.
Is that it, Dave?
I think that is it.
You gonna be on the road anytime soon?
I'm going to Covington, Kentucky at the end of this month, and then next month I'm going to, I want to say, Milwaukee and Columbus.
Sweet. Covington, Kentucky. That's Dave Zeiser land.
That is. So Cincinnati.
So Dave, the last time I taught there, Dave sends me an email. Dave Zeiser, he's another Kelby training instructor and great wedding photographer. Sends me an email and says, hey, I got the day off. I'll come pick you up at the airport. I'm like, oh, great. You know, he comes picks me up at the airport in a suit.
On his day off.
Dave, do you expect him to be in a jogging suit or something?
Did your day off? Did something happen, Dave? Do you have an appointment with a client, or do you have a wedding to shoot now? And he's like, no. I'm like, you're wearing a suit, Dave. That's what Dave always wears. So anyway.
Well, and Dave, you've also got a lot of stuff coming up in the next couple months happening at your
yeah, I got all sorts
stuff.
of fun stuff. Photoshop classes, and Rick Salmon's coming in for an off-camera flash thing, and all kinds of stuff.
Cool. DaveCrossWorkshops.com.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for watching this week. Thanks, Corey Barker.
Thank you.
Thank you for your book, too.
Oh, no. My pleasure.
No. You've brought the world together in a way that I don't think anybody could really explain.
It warms me right here.
I know. Pete?
I think that's indigestion. But.
You haven't brought the world together, but...
I'm working on it.
By golly,
I'm working on it.
You've brought some...
But I look good doing it.
You've brought some window switching things together.
I did.
Dave, thank you very much.
All right.
Take care again, everybody.
See you next time.
See you soon. Bye.